So Istio. So Istio is a service mesh. How many people are familiar with service meshes? Okay. How many people have worked with Istio? Okay, cool. So first I'm going to go over what a service mesh is. So basically a service mesh lives within your microservice architecture. It's a network of microservices that make up that application, but I think the really important part is it handles a lot of that interaction between them, and that's where I think service meshes have a lot of power because it's really good for security, encryption, policy handling, anything like that. And basically it's responsible for the service-to-service communication. So I'm going to go over some of the features that it has for that service-to-service communication. So for Istio specifically, it was created by Google, IBM, and Lyft. I worked on it at the beginning of this year. It was still in beta then. I'm pretty sure it has been released now, so it's fairly new. It's always changing because it just has been released. They're always continually updating it. But basically what it does is it'll handle traffic management, provide security and authentication, and it does policy handling between services. So because it does control that service-to-service communication, it can do a lot for that and kind of make sure it's secure, make sure it's encrypted, and then make sure that specific services only have access to what it needs. And then it adds a sidecar proxy called Envoy, and this is kind of where it does a lot of that traffic management. It always has to go through Envoy anytime it goes to a specific service. So that's where it can handle that policy handling, or it could do kind of more that traffic management, anything like that. So these are the three kind of big features I'm going to talk about. There are more than this, but this is the ones that I really like. First is the traffic management. So specifically, I'm going to be going over A/B testing. I'm sure as developers, I've had to do A/B testing, and it's pain. You either have to do like a third party or you just have to code a lot of stuff for it. But with Istio, there's a really easy way to do it that, as developers, you don't have to A/B test. It's just with like one YAML file, and you can send traffic to whichever service that you need to. As monitoring and logging, so this is good for engineers as well as kind of higher up level people, because they can just kind of go on and see everything that's going on within your application. And then it has policy enforcement and security. So we all want our applications to be secure and our microservices to be secure. So it just adds an extra layer on top of that and kind of makes it really easy to enforce it. So first, I'm going to be going over traffic management. And the big thing that you need to know first is that there is an element called the pilot. And this is what basically manages and configures all the proxy instances. So this has all the rules. So if you're having specific configurations for rules, that is all going to live within the pilot. And that is what's going to tell each of your envoys kind of those rules. So this is anything from traffic rules, service discovery, anything like that. It's going to live within the pilot, and then it's just going to disperse it to all your proxies through the Envoy API. And then this specifies the rules for traffic routing and failure recovery. And then it also has load balancing information. So basically what this does is it will distribute your traffic across your different Envoy proxies, the best it can do. So this is an example of A/B testing. How many people do A/B testing right now? Not many? Not many? Okay. Well, you guys are lucky. So A/B testing. So let's say you have two different versions of your application, and you want to, test which one's better, or maybe you want to do it based on user. Let's say, okay, user X, I want to show this version to user X. I want to show this version to user Y. This one isn't that in depth, but you can do that with Istio. This is basically just saying, I want 25% of my users to go to this version, and I want 75% of my users to go to this other version. So a lot of it, again, is the boilerplate on top. The important part is where it says HTTP route and destination. So the host test, that is our service name. And then we have version 1 and version 2. And then the weight, 25% goes to version 1, 75% goes to version 2. And then once you create this YAML file and deploy it up with Istio, it'll automatically do that, which is really nice because it's just kind of one YAML file, a couple simple commands, and then you're routing your services, depending on this A/B test. And then next, I'm going to be going over more of policy handling. So by policy handling, I mean that let's say you have multiple services. You have a front end, a back end, a database. Maybe not everything needs access to your database. Maybe only certain services do. Then you don't want other services to be able to access it. So you would enforce policies and access rights. And so basically, what the mixer does is it'll be called before and after each request. At first, it will go to your proxy, then it will go to Envoy, and then it'll go to your service, back to Envoy, back to your proxy. And this makes it really helpful to get kind of more that logging information. So if something's going through a specific element every time before and after it goes to each service, it just makes it really easy to be able to get some information. And then it also does the policy handling. So if it goes to the mixer and it says, hey, you don't have rights to this, it won't let them go to the service. And then it also does precondition checks. So, and this is all within your configuration. If you have certain precondition checks that specific services need to pass, this is all done within the mixer. So this provides your monitoring. So Prometheus, how many people are familiar with Prometheus and Grafana? Okay, I think it's a really cool tool. But Prometheus is basically an add-on onto Istio, and it'll collect all that data. So all that data that's going to your service, this is going to be collected by Prometheus. And Grafana is a dashboard that shows all of this. So some things that you can kind of see are like HTTP status codes. So if your service is getting a lot of like a specific status code, you can see that visually, and it's kind of easy. Like if your service is down, you'll kind of have like a lot of red on that graph, and you'll say, okay, something's up. Let's go in and see what's going on. And then your service response time. So this is really good for more of a performance perspective. If you can, if you have really bad response time, how can you improve it? This will kind of show you, this will let you pinpoint what you need to improve. And then success rates. So I think from this perspective, high level, it's just a really good way to be able to pinpoint where you can make improvements. If something's down, kind of go in there really fast and fix it. And then last, we have the policy enforcement and security. So basically what this is one thing you can do is you can enable rate limits on your services. So you can limit the traffic to specific service based on configurations. Maybe this is a quota, anything like that. You're able to do that. You can whitelist and blacklist services. So depending on specific attributes, you can configure your white and blacklist for all your services. And then it offers authentication and encryption between your services. So it uses a mutual TLS handshake. And then once that's complete, it'll use TLS encryption for your service-to-service communication. And I just want to thank everyone again for coming. If you want, you can find me at Rizchel Dayao on basically Twitter, anything, or you can email me if you have any questions.